Chapter 2, Adolescence. Influences. What influences a child? Their parents, family, friends, school, neighborhood, and media, which could be television, music, and social platforms. These are their chief influencers. Ask yourself, what qualities, habits, and phrases do my parents, family, and friends possess? Which ones are good and which ones are bad? Once you are aware of these things and you have labeled them, which ones will you choose to emulate? Which ones will you choose to avoid? Childhood. Everyone, no matter how grown up they are now, was once a child. Even on your 100th birthday, you will still be your parents' child, whether they are still on earth or not. In this chapter, I will expound on my upbringing and the lessons I learned during and after. This will not be a boring biography, as you will only read about the experiences that have meaningful lessons attached to them. When I was 4 years old, my parents enrolled me in pre-K at a local private school. This is the origin of how I was so young compared to my classmates in future years. After only 2 weeks, my teachers realized I was smart enough to immediately jump to kindergarten, and my parents agreed. Academically, socially, and physically, this was an easy transition, as my above-average grades and height helped me to fit in with my older classmates. While living in Hampton, Virginia, I played soccer as my first sport. With no exaggeration, I was one of the best in my age group at every position except goalie. Sadly, this was during a time when I cared too much about what my older cousins thought. They labeled soccer as non-masculine, which then led me to quit so I could gain their approval. After quitting soccer, I increased my focus on only playing organized football and basketball. Eventually, basketball became my primary sport and passion. Let us pause here for some crucial advice in the form of a letter to my younger self. Dear Kenny, stop limiting yourself based on what people think about you. Love yourself and embrace who you were created to be. If you love to do something, do it. If you love someone, express it. Be courageous and unworried about the belittling opinions of others. When people talk about you in a negative way, it is because they have a problem within themselves. Understand that we all have flaws and internal battles to overcome, but do not let that stop you from becoming the best version of yourself. Even if others do not see your vision, go for it anyway. I understand the basic human need and desire to fit in for external validation. There was a time in my life when I sought it from the wrong people and places. But it is imperative that you reach a point where you no longer seek it from those who do not truly support you. I am referring to the people who do not know or love the real you in your many layers. However, there may be moments when the people who love you will even try to limit your growth because they are afraid of change. I'm here to tell you that change is uncomfortable, but necessary and inevitable. Continue to always change for the better. Now, there will be people who try to help you along your life journey, but you must have the discernment to determine if this help is good or bad. Typically, it depends on the specific advice, action, or thing that is being offered. One of my mentors, Derek Williams, also known as Mr. Infinity, has stated, "Never take advice from anyone in any field that has not accomplished the results you are seeking to produce." This means that if they have not been in your shoes before or helped others who are like you, do not follow their advice. However, people who have not achieved the results you want are still a benefit. Why? Because you can listen to them and learn what not to do. Sincerely, Kenny Glenn, success coach and entrepreneur. Positive role models. What benefits, whether physical, mental, and spiritual, have your parents or guardians provided you? If you grew up without your father, or if he was not a positive role model, which man or men in your life can teach you important life skills, lessons, and words of wisdom? If you grew up without your mother, or if she was not a positive role model, which woman or women in your life can teach you important life skills, lessons, and words of wisdom. This is the part of the book where I elaborate on how beneficial my parents were in molding me. As a man, I will specifically focus more on my father, as he was my first and closest male role model. I understand the importance of any child growing up with their father, and thankfully, I had mine in my household to show me how to become a man. Plus, having both parents in the house allowed for a healthy balance of masculine and feminine energy. I have friends and family who grew up without their fathers or mothers, and now I see how it affected and still affects them. However, they still look to someone to teach them and help them become who they are today. Even outside of my father, I had men who looked like me and exemplified what I wanted to become. This included teachers, administrators, and older men I met on the basketball court or in my neighborhood. Every day while in middle school and high school, I heard my assistant principal on the building-wide intercom as he gave important announcements. Each time, he would finish with a powerful saying, "Everybody wants to change the world, but nobody wants to change themselves. Be the change you want to see in the world." When a student lacks these types of positive influences, it creates an easier path towards being weighed down by harmful temptations and adopting negative stereotypes. My father was my first soccer, football, and basketball coach. He taught me the importance of waking up early and providing for myself and my family, which meant much more than just finances. He taught me how to love and protect women, how to finesse and be smooth, how to dress with style, how to walk like a boss, how to cook, how to believe in myself, how to drive, and many more valuable lessons. He also took me to church and instilled the fact that God has a plan for my life. He ensured that I stayed out of serious trouble by instilling no-nonsense consequences. He also introduced my sister and me to the value of credit and the greatest movie of all time, The Matrix. Due to my father's active military status, there were times during my early years when he was away from home for extended periods of time. I vividly remember my father being overseas on a naval ship for 6 months when I was in the 5th grade. This meant he would miss the holidays of Christmas and New Year's Day. It was the first and only time I could remember that being the case. I missed my father while he was gone, and this is when I got in the most trouble at school. I stole money, acted out in class, and got suspended. But even as a 9-year-old kid, I somehow knew that my mother would be more lenient with the punishments she gave. This seems common in mother-son relationships. For example, if she said I was grounded for 3 months without certain privileges, I often returned to my normal activities after only a couple of weeks. Eventually, my father returned home and retired from the military after 20 years of service. At his retirement ceremony, someone asked me if I was next. Since I was only 9 years old, I did not know how to respond. My father jumped in and replied, "Nope, my son is going to college." That statement put the expectation in my mind to continuously achieve high academic goals so I could get to college and succeed. My father was always supportive. Whether he would physically come to my sporting events or not, he would always call me to give words of encouragement, even if he needed to leave a voicemail. "Smoke these cats" is a phrase he would frequently say. Then, after my competitions, he would congratulate me and give advice on how I could improve. To grow my confidence, he would repeatedly say to me, "Go out there and be fearless. No matter what happens, nobody can take anything away from you. Your loved ones will still love you, and your birthday will still be celebrated." This applies to all situations where courage and confidence are necessary, including athletics, job interviews, and public speaking. On my first day of college, he assured me via text that there was nothing my professors could throw my way that I did not have the tools to handle. My mother also believed in me, and she was satisfied whenever I gave my best effort. However, academically and behaviorally, she refused to let me be average in the classroom. She and my teachers knew I was special because if all my other classmates were doing something wrong and then I decided to join in, I would be the one to get in trouble. The famous line from Black mothers that I heard her say many times was, "I don't care what the other kids were doing. Those other kids are not mine. I raised you better and I expect you to show it." Often, if I really wanted a new pair of shoes or a new video game, my mother would agree to help me get it by paying for half of the expense. I could write another book full of examples of the love and support that she gave, which was instrumental in shaping who I am today. However, I will keep it short, as I know mothers tend to overly coddle their sons, similar to the way fathers tend to treat their daughters. My advice to boys and girls, men and women, fathers and mothers, is to recognize the importance of each other and show respect. It takes a village to properly raise a child, but it all starts at home. We need the best version of each other to build a brighter future filled with highly educated families and individuals. Find and follow positive examples of who you want to become, not who society will try to create you to be. The benefits of teacher relationships. The teacher I must mention and expound upon is my middle school science teacher, Miss Veronica Dean. In my opinion, she is the greatest science and robotics teacher that the world has ever seen. She gifted me and many other students with academic opportunities to grow, learn, and create lifelong friendships outside of the classroom. Although she is a bit quirky and some students may dislike her strict rules, I am beyond thankful for her. She cultivated after-school programs to introduce students to the fun and tangible uses of STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. In those programs, we built Lego robots, toothpick bridges, and mousetrap race cars. She also led a group of us to compete on an academic team against other local schools. This was quite similar to physical sports, but we were showcasing our brain power instead of our athletic abilities. Ms. Dean also recommended to my parents the option to participate in summer programs at the University of Cincinnati that were offered to middle and high school students. These programs were designed to give marginalized students the opportunity to take classes on a college campus, meet faculty, prepare for college entrance exams, and enhance their skills in the subjects of math, science, and writing. I absolutely did not want to attend these programs for multiple obvious reasons as a kid in the 7th and 8th grades. The summer program always started on the exact date or a week of my birthday. I also did not want to spend 8 weeks of my summer sitting in classes learning about subjects that came easy to me. I much preferred playing basketball at any time, on any day, or staying up all night playing video games. However, since my parents were future-oriented and wanted the best for me, they demanded that I participate. I did not agree with my parents back then, but now I see that they were only providing me with more options to succeed while ensuring my academic skills were always on point. I vividly remember my mother telling me that we could not afford college. This program would be the path toward scholarships before I even knew what those were. Thanks to these programs, I made lifelong friends with future engineers from different high schools around the state of Ohio, such as Christopher Stewart. I was also able to create some hilarious and unforgettable memories. For example, my neighbor Joe Abrams and I would walk around campus to ask professors and students for spare change so we could buy ice cream. Dear Kenny, connect with your teachers and administrators on a personal level and ask them questions about their life journeys. Find out the people they know who can help you reach your goals. I still talk to some of my teachers from middle school, high school, and college. My past teachers have written letters of recommendation for me, helped me with my political campaign, given me access to workout facilities, and more. They have helped me in so many ways that I do not know where I would be without them. Even teachers with whom I had no classes have also helped me based on my positive reputation. Huge shout out to all those who continue to support me along my post-graduation journey. Also, do not waste your summers. I know this is your time to relax and have fun in the sun, but this is also your opportunity to stay sharp in the classroom and in athletics. Strike a healthy balance. Use your time and resources wisely. Sincerely, Kenny Glenn, success coach and entrepreneur. 8th grade. During my 8th grade year, I tried out for my middle school basketball team and made it. However, I only scored 3 points the whole season due to my lack of courage and my fear of criticism. I eventually had to break these shackles, and throughout this book, I will elaborate on how I did it. I always had the hustle and spirit of an entrepreneur, and I proved this in the 8th grade. It was sparked by my father when he said, "I will never buy my kids a game system." I was hurt by this statement because of how badly I wanted an Xbox 360. This caused me to learn how to save all the money I received from holidays, plus what I earned from cutting grass and shoveling snow for our elderly neighbors. His statement also sparked me to create another business venture as I began selling candy at school to earn enough money to purchase my own gaming system. Dear Kenny, please never see yourself as dumb or unable to understand business and numbers. In the 8th grade, I knew more about business than some college graduates. Learn the basics of business so you can think like a business owner and know how capitalism works. Learning and understanding the 6 secrets of persuasion will be a major help, so much so that it will feel like a cheat code. Sincerely, Kenny Glenn, success coach and entrepreneur. The 6 secrets of persuasion. Dr. J.C. Baker has taught me and business owners all over the world about these persuasive techniques. They were originally theorized by Dr. Robert Cialdini. These concepts are quite simple when you break them down. They can be applied in your personal and professional interactions. The best way to remember them is with the acronym C-CARLS. After explaining the 6 secrets of persuasion, I will explain how I used them in the 8th grade. 1. Consensus is a general agreement, including customer reviews of people, products, and services. 2. Consistency involves repeated or normalized behavior or qualities. For example, McDonald's food tastes the same at every location in the chain. Another example is if you always do, say, or wear the same things, people will come to expect it. 3. Authorities are people or organizations having power or control in a particular area. For example, people are more likely to listen to experienced professionals before listening to amateurs because of authority and experience. 4. Reciprocity is the practice of exchanging things with others for mutual benefit. Give people respect without being asked, and they are more likely to respect you in return. 5. Liking is arguably the strongest of the 6. People listen to and buy from people or companies that they like for various reasons. 6. Scarcity refers to the low availability or quantity of options. Having limited choices or seeing or hearing phrases like, while supplies last, makes people buy sooner than later. First, I noticed that Meijer sold large bags of regular and sour Starburst for $2 each. I purchased the bag and opened it to count how many pieces of candy were inside. To my surprise, the total number was 80. This surprised me because if you purchased the $1 pack at the register, they only gave you 12 pieces. This sparked the idea of pricing each piece for 10 cents or selling a bundle of 10 pieces for $1. By selling each bag in full, I would earn $8. Then, by subtracting the $2 it cost me to buy the candy, I would profit $6 per bag. I knew my audience of 8th grade students in school for 7 hours a day would purchase what I had. I was well liked, and I did not hate on anybody else's hustle or way of thinking. This is an example of liking and reciprocity. I also knew there were no other sources for students to get my product while we were in school. This is an example of scarcity and authority. I must also write that I was certainly not given permission or allowed to sell anything on school property. However, I am a finesser with morals. I can earn or save money in ways that do not harm others. As an honor student who did not get into any serious trouble, teachers did not have me on their suspect radar. They were not keeping a close eye on me as I sold candy. I had a top customer every day who rode the same bus to school with me. He purchased $2 worth of candy every single morning, and he knew I would have them. This is an example of consistency. I also began to sell gum for 25 cents a piece. We all know that once you open a pack of gum publicly, every single person wants a piece. This is an example of consensus. I discovered that only 15 pieces of gum were inside the typical packs sold at gas stations and grocery store registers. However, I knew there had to be a way to get more pieces for the same $1 price tag. This is when I discovered that Dollar Tree sold 4 packs with 5 pieces of gum per pack in a plastic bundle for $1. This meant that for the same price, I could get 20 pieces instead of only 15. Now, in this same 8th grade school year, I was eventually labeled as a disruptive class clown. I did this to fit in socially, and my grades began to slip because of it. Yes, I was smart and in honors classes, but those labels were not seen as cool among my social group. Although I was on the basketball team, I barely got in the game. I was also 2 years younger than my peers, and they made constant jokes about my age. Dr. Jawanza Kunjufu explains this reality within young students, as this is a societal problem of valuing popularity over intelligence. I do not remember my teachers directly attempting to correct my behavior by having private conversations with me. I thought I was getting away with my antics until my teachers told my parents about my behavior at parent-teacher conference night. That night, my father had an intense talk with me and said I needed to get my act together. He explained that I was too smart to be fooling around and that I was embarrassing him by doing so. We looked just alike and had the same first and last name. Anything I did would affect his reputation and how people viewed him as a father. Until that moment, I had never thought about how I was carrying his or our family's legacy. Next, my mother came to me and used her feminine energy to cheer me up. She said that if I stayed out of trouble and got the grades that she knew I could achieve, she would reward me. The reward was $50 per A, but only $5 per B. Dear Kenny, I know that not every student has someone who financially rewards them for their good grades in the short term, but I am here to let you know that good grades will get you paid in the long run. Teachers will treat you better, which is social capital, and organizations will give you scholarships to make college less expensive, which is an example of financial capital. Sincerely, Kenny Glenn, success coach and entrepreneur. The power of sound. My father got me hip to the jams and broke down the deeper meanings of certain lyrics. When I say jams, I'm referring to the hip hop and R&B music that was released in the 1980s, 1990s, and early 2000s, as well as the soul music from the 1970s. He made sure the music he played was the clean version so I would not become comfortable with using foul language. My mother got me hip to artists like Luther Vandross, Stevie Wonder, Michael Jackson, and Lionel Richie. In the 8th grade, I took a music class and learned about some of the very first rap songs by artists like Grandmaster Flash and the Sugar Hill Gang. Combined, these are the reasons why I still intently listen to the lyrics when it comes to music. Fast forward to today, if a musical artist is singing or rapping about stupidity, I am not listening. In the words of Common in the song The Sixth Sense, if I don't like it, I don't like it. That don't mean that I'm hating. I do not care how popular a song might be because I know the music industry tries to program us to listen to and buy hot garbage. It is cool to march to your own beat, literally and figuratively. I remember trying to force myself to like the music they play in clubs or that some of my teammates would listen to. But the truth was that I loved real music. Music that expressed love and vulnerability. Music that had wordplay and mastered lyricism. Not mumble rap or music that talked about disrespecting women or causing harm to anyone. The power of sound dictates how we receive information and how we feel. Music and words have vibrations and frequencies attached to them that shift our energy. You can change a person's mood and thoughts by playing certain songs or types of music. You could also create this change by the words you speak to them and how you say those words. Songs, videos, movies, podcasts, and audiobooks are filled with information and opportunities to learn by listening and watching. Will you listen to the negative or the positive vibrations? Dear Kenny, feed your soul and your mind with positive sounds. Be conscious of what you allow to enter your ears. It is okay and beneficial to listen to some jazz, piano, or Baroque music to calm you down and joyfully lift your spirit. Most young listeners look at musicians as role models. There are some musicians we should just listen to and respect their craft while leaving their personal lives out of it. If you choose to dive deeper into the personal lives of musicians, be conscious of what you choose to adopt from how they carry themselves. The music that is predominantly marketed towards you is filled with the promotion of sex, drugs, and death. Too often, the musical artist is just a middleman salesperson with a good beat and a catchy saying. But if you dissect the lyrics, many of them are leading you in the wrong direction. Some musicians will tell you to spend all your money, trust no one, promote violence against your own people as a viable solution, sell or do harmful drugs, and to only think about sex. That way of living is too risky and unsustainable. But meanwhile, Those same musicians are peacefully at home, saving their money while also being happily married and raising their children. They are not even living the life they are rapping about or posting on social media. But as listeners, we are constantly being programmed by repetition. The number of times we watch, listen, and ingest their music, as well as the fast and flashy lifestyles they portray. We give these entertainers millions of dollars while we as listeners stay in the rat race of living paycheck to paycheck and always spending our money on escapism. We know every single word to their songs, but soon as someone attempts to educate us on the things that matter, we suddenly cannot hear. Imagine me screaming these next two sentences. Who cares if you know all the words to the newest trap song? Does it even matter? Most of us listen to music when we are in the car or whenever we wear headphones. But have you ever attempted to listen to something else? You can listen to old and new songs on repeat and nothing will change. You might be wondering, well, if I do not listen to music, then what will I listen to? You can listen to audiobooks, podcasts, and interviews with people you would label as successful or knowledgeable. The information they give can improve how you think and conduct yourself. Since everything starts with a thought, these different choices can change your life for the better. I am not saying that you must completely give up listening to music in the car or at any other point of your day, but sometimes switch it up. Listening to podcasts has improved my life with the information I have learned and the people I have connected with. Sincerely, Kenny Glenn, success coach and entrepreneur.